Hello again, everyone. This is Randy, your Saw Machine Man, and we're looking at a Singer 534 stylus, one of the most popular machines of the 70s. I sold these two at a time back in the day at the old Singer Sewing Center at the Six Flags Mall in Arlington. Very good machine, and still is. This one came in because the daggone thing would sew along, and then it just seize up and lock up, and the hand wheel wouldn't even turn. And this is like the week of the ones that seize up for all different reasons, and this one has the most unique reason for seizing up. This was a puzzler. This was about to make my head explode a couple times because I thought I had it fixed. I'd let it sit for a while and I'd take off and it would go along and then seize up again. But now I made my what I call a perpetual motion machine. That's where I take the machine partially apart and I put it back together and get this. It's a free arm, so you can do this and get it going, because running the motor was fine. Running the machine with the needle, press a foot up and unthreaded was fine. But then you'd thread it up, sew it, get it good and warmed up, and it go like this, and that's top speed. That's a good little performance right there. But then it would sit for a while, and then I'm thinking it was a change in the temperature of the bearings. They'd cool off, then they get tight again. So I've been running it, letting it sit, running it, letting it sit, and I am going to call it a cure because that's what I think's going on. But the thing that actually got it going was the most curious. I've never had it happen before, and I'll show you. I got it partially disassembled here so I can show you real quickly. I'm going to take the thread off. I'm going to show you real quick what I'm talking about. I just have this thing stuck together. That's why I was holding my finger on everything to make sure nothing went flying. This thing comes off, by the way. It just comes off. It's got a tab and a tab and a tab and a tab and a tab, and you got to be very careful with it when you're taking the tabs off, because they go in there and you have to get a flat bladed, wide flat bladed screwdriver, and you have to very carefully, cautiously bring them off. Of course, first you got to pull the stitch length dial off. In order to get the stitch length dial off, it starts off in like this mode here. Like right now, it's right there. So it starts off in that mode. You have to take it all the way down to there, and that's where it comes on and off, right there. It's got to go all the way down to 0 with this thing up and down in order to get it off. Off. Takes the tab out of the way. Put it back on. And then back up to your stitch length and over here to your buttonhole. Click, click, click. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, so when you have this on, of course, it locks this thing in place. Of course, your little deal goes in here. It holds this. That holds that in place, and you got to screw up here. So you get this off. But what was causing this thing to absolutely misbehave? Let's get this screw loose up here. We got one on each end that holds the top on. This cam that makes your ziggity-zag, zigzag, that cam was too tight. It's on an eccentric. You can see it has a slot right here in the top. See the slot? There's an eccentric that takes it toward and away from the main top shaft up there. And I'm not expecting a lot of you folks to do this. I just want to have an understanding. And you folks out there who are budding repair people, I talk to you all the time. You're learning how to do stuff. If you get one that's locked up and gets real tight, this is on an eccentric. And if that gear is too close to that gear, it'll run real tight. So you should have a little movement right here in this gear. It should move ever so slightly. If there's absolutely no movement, it's wedged up against that thing. So there's a set screw here, and you get a screwdriver that's small enough to fit in that slot. I always tell you got to have 1,000 different sizes of screwdrivers. It's got to be small enough to go in that slot, and then you break that loose, and you come up here and beat in this place up here, and you rock that back and forth, and you'll see it'll go towards you and away from you. If it's too far away from you, you'll get a clickety clickety click. You want it to take it right up to it and have just the slightest little bit of movement right there. And when you have that, this little guy is set properly. Now I put a new shaft collar That's these little guys right here. It's a shim that goes between your main bearing on the top left. Put some light on the subject. Top left main bearing right here. And the shaft collar has 2 set screws, one there and one there. And you can see this little cutout right here to get a screwdriver down there. But you have to push it. You have to loosen these set screws, pull the shaft all the way to the right, then shove the collar all the way to the left up against the bushing here. You tighten them down with your shaft collar snapped over, and then that keeps your upper shaft from slapping back and forth. You're gonna have a tiny little bit of movement, not much. So put another shaft collar in there, and since I took the bottom bearings out because I was trying to find what was causing this thing to lock up, and I mean it was getting the best of me there for a couple hours. So while I had all the bottom shafts out, I thought, well, why not replace the daggone gears? You know, these things are famous for chewing up these gears because the original gears, they're a hard rubber, black composite. See that little guy right there? And they get brittle and they just snap right off. I can pull that off probably with my fingernail, one of these gears, one of these teeth. I mean, they get soft. See, it just comes apart. So I thought, well, while we have it apart, put the new gears in. So we got drive gears, drive gears, drive gears. The timing belt is good. And of course you set the timing for the hook down here, and you got your feed timing there, timing mark. So this little thing's all back together, and it runs like a house of fire. Great little machine. I have probably every replacement part this thing would ever need because, like I said, this was like the heyday, the king of the 70s. And they made a lot of replacement parts for these because they have a lot of these out there. All the gears are available. Just about everything on this, the belts, the motor. You know, if you use these a lot, they'll need a little this, a little that. But once you get everything replaced, you'll be back. You'll be back in business with it. Good little machine. So I'm gonna put this all back together, deliver it back to the customer tomorrow, get her back going. And it's quite a little machine. It's got a good alloy frame. When those gears are replaced, you're done because those gears are not soft nylon. They're a real hard compound, and they run really well together. So it's not metal gears, but it's as close as thing you'll get to them. They're very, very good gears. So this thing's going to be back to her tomorrow. It's going to be good as new. I think her grandpa bought this for grandma. It's a family heirloom, and it means a lot to her, so she wants it going, and that's what I'm here for, to get these old machines back in order and running for the duration. This is Singer Stylus 534. Nice little machine. If you can get one, expect to put gears in it because they'll be needing to be replaced. There's 4. All 4 of them are available. You can put them in there, have it done. And when you get done, you'll have a real nice high-speed rotary with reverse. And it's got a lot of nice stitches. It's got straight stitch, stretch stitch, 3-step zigzag, overlock, a real nice 4-step buttonhole. It makes a perfect 4-step buttonhole. And it's a nice little machine. It has a little arm that snaps on the button here, takes it off. But for a free arm, it's a beautiful, beautiful machine. Stylus 534. You might get 533, 834. They're all basically the same machines. Good machine.